your water, you know what I mean, eating your vegetables, working out. You look fabulous, sir.
I appreciate you, and I don't have a choice in the matter. Yeah, I'm supposed to drink water and eat vegetables and greens and stuff, so, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, if you don't know who Sean Ellis is, he currently have a Netflix documentary out called Trial 4. He was wrongfully accused of murdering a police officer. Now, if you haven't seen this documentary, I do suggest you go and watch it. All right, I do suggest you go and watch it. All right, Sean. While I know you're taking your jacket off, get comfortable, brother. Get comfortable. All right. Now, I went through so much emotions while watching Trial 4. You know, I was angry. I was sad. Then a part of me got scared. You know. Then towards the later end of watching the movie, I was like, look at God. Look at God, you know. I was like, look at God, man. And let me ask you this, right? I was watching this. I was like, man, like, what can I ask him? My first question was, you know, what was that first night? You know what I mean? That first night when you went to jail. What was that? You know, what was going through your mind at that time, bro?
That first night, one of the most vivid memories that I have that first night, because I had never been incarcerated.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had never been in jail before.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't know how to turn off the lights. You know what I mean? And that first night, I remember sleeping with the light on because I didn't know how to turn it off. And I had the feeling like everything was against me, so it's not like I wanted to bang on the window and ask the, you know, CEO to turn my light off.
Yeah.
Or like, so I just dealt with the light being on. It wasn't a night that I got much sleep anyway. There was too much going on. But my attempt to sleep was kind of interrupted with the light being on.
Cause you know what? Like as I'm watching this, bro, I see myself in you, bro. I see, like, you know what I mean? You know, good looking brother, you know what I mean? You fly, I'm a little bit fly myself, you know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
And I was like, man, like I kind of like, yo, and I started crying, bro. I started really like shedding tears, like, yo, how could they do this? What's going on? Like, what's happening? Yeah. You know what I mean? But then I was like, man, you know what? Since I'm a believer, like, I wanted to see, I knew God was going to come through. You know what I'm saying? I knew God was going to come through. You know what I mean? Like, are you a believer in God?
Absolutely. You know, there's what happened in my life, one way or another happened, you know, by the word of God.
Right.
And you know, I was raised as a Christian. And that was the early part of my years, and so that was belief in God, regardless of what anyone may refer to the God as. You know, I definitely have that belief in God. Anytime that I can lift up to God in the reality of the God, then I definitely do. Absolutely.
And the reason why I asked you that, Sean, is because, yo, at some point, were you mad at God, bro? Because I'm looking at it from my perspective. I was just like, yo, God, like, how could you do this to this man, yo? Like, how could you allow this to happen to one of your servants, bro? You know what I'm saying? And I, you know, like, sometimes you take your glasses off and you put it and you see something else from somebody else's perspective, and you're just like, yo, God, like, how can you let this happen? So at some point, was you mad at God, bro?
Yeah, nah, I was never mad at God. Never even really had the thought of being mad at God. I was raised a Christian, but in my own personal evolution, I wasn't going to church when I got snatched up. But God was in my life.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, I knew that there was a God.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I never, you know, was mad at God. In fact, early on, as I was going through what I was going through, it was I wasn't necessarily thinking about God, and that might have been part of the problem.
Really? Yeah.
But it's once I was at Nashville Street and started to receive some scriptures in the mail, kind of reorientating me to the reality of God. That's when I started thinking about God. And then as I was going to trial, one of the routines that I had in the morning was I would get up and I would read something out of Proverbs that spoke to me, that resonated with me. And
what specific scripture stuck with you, bro?
I would have to see it.
Yeah.
But there was one. I'm not gonna say through the valley of darkness. It wasn't that one.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you got a pastor right there. You could just refirm it,
But
and then because I usually because I don't be knowing like specific scriptures, but I'd be like, oh, it's the one when Jesus and then Peter walked on water, and then Pastor Wall would be like, yeah, that's that one right there.
Yeah. What it really spoke to, right, was being able to fight and kind of endure the fight, and that kind of, if the fight wasn't for you, God wouldn't put you through the fight. That's the memory that I have of it back then, because that kind of not in those words, but that's kind of what helped me to endure early on. Sitting through a murder trial.
Yo, did you feel like your faith was being tested, bro?
Nah. It's I didn't really start to get that sort of relationship with God until after I got convicted.
Really?
And for me, like there was a time, like I said early on.
Yeah.
I was raised a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got arrested. And then the people in my life at the time, was sending me scriptures.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting convicted. I went upstate and engaged in a kind of quest to establish a relationship with the God, in a way that resonated and felt real to me.
Absolutely.
And so the faith and all that part came afterwards.
Then afterwards.
But by that time, I was already in the midst of a fight for my life.
Yeah.
And my name.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Folks, if you're listening right now, we are on 102.9 FM. We have Mr. Sean Ellis here live in the studio. If you want to call in, ask a question, make a comment, you can do so. Make sure you call in at 617-282-0685. Once again, 617-282-0685. So, Sean, we like to do some trivia questions, all right? We do some trivia questions every now and then just to keep the mood light. You know what I'm saying? Keep the mood light. And I got a couple trivia questions for you. Are you ready for that? I know you got an assistance over here, this young lady, beautiful young lady here. Don't worry, you can't help him out, okay? You can't help him out, all right? So, here we go.
She ain't going to leave me stranded.
All right. All right, so I'm going to start off with a little easy one for you. Name 2 black quarterbacks, starters that have won a Super Bowl.
2. All right, Doug Williams.
Doug Williams is one.
I'm trying to think. Did Cam win a Super Bowl?
No, he did it.
Nah, Cam. So Doug Williams. It was somebody not too long ago too, right?
Not too long ago. I'll give you a hit. Oh, look, he's looking. He's looking. He's looking.
I can't. It was just a couple of years ago.
Yep.
It was just a couple of years ago.
Give you a hint. He plays for the Seahawks.
Kurt Wilson. Not
nope.
Kurt. Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
Ding, 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 ding. You see? Yep. So absolutely, man. So we got those 2 correct. All right. Now, going back to some questions, man. Like, what do you believe like your purpose is after overcoming all that you have gone through, bro? What do you think like your purpose is, bro?
Wow, like that's really a good question.
And I'm gonna tell you what I think like yours is, because this is what I can, because I read the Bible a little bit, right? And Pastor Wall, who was the guy, right? I think it's Joseph. He got thing by his brothers or something like that.
Yeah, it was Joseph.
And it was Joseph, right? And then he ended up going to jail, doing some horrible things, right? And then for a reason, right? And I'm just making a comparison, right? And I felt like just reading, watching your story and then reading that story pretty recently, and I felt like you went through all that, you was covered, right, throughout all that, and then I feel like your purpose is to bring the brothers together. You know what I'm saying? To bring the brothers together, to give us that yo, I'm wounded, dog, but I ain't broken.
Right, no, definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
And I can definitely see that. A little bit about like my religious history, right?
Yeah.
Is that I started out as a Christian. I was raised as a Christian. Then once I was inside the system, I started dealing with. As a matter of fact, when I got upstate, that's when I got introduced really to the Nation of Islam. And I had started studying some study guides, but after that, I had started to study with the gods, the 5%ers.
The 5%ers, yes.
The Nation of Gods and Earth, and I studied that for a long time, and that really kind of brought me into a position to where I established a relationship with the God, and I'm speaking about the God that created the heavens and the earth.
Absolutely.
And I take the position that there is but one universal God. No matter we call him God, no matter we call him Allah, no matter we call him Jesus.
Yep.
I don't know why we call him Yahweh Ben Yahweh.
Yeah.
It don't matter. There's just one God.
Right.
Just like water is one.
Right.
Some people call water agua. Some people call it water.
Right.
Whatever language you speak, that's how you identify the God. You identify the God in your tongue. You know what I mean? So, but in that, speaking about the unifying, that's when I started to gain the ability to build with people from all type of religious backgrounds.
Right.
Because whatever you believe in, and if it works for you, then it works for you.
Right.
And I never let that get in the way of the work that I had to do with somebody.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that I got that lesson is my mom, as we see in Trial 4, my mom had a chemical dependency, and she found her way back to the God, right? And that helped her in her recovery. And at the time, I was a young 5%er. And when I used to call home, me and her used to have talks about God. And I was intense in my advocacy of the God. But I had to realize that, hold on, just because her understanding is different from my understanding.
Right.
It don't mean that I have to be attackful.
Absolutely.
To her understanding.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because all it is a level of understanding.
Absolutely.
But that disposition kind of helped me to develop the ability to kind of weave in and out of religious groups and being able to dialogue with them.
Yo, when you say 5%ers, bro, I've heard of 5%ers. I've met a couple of 5%ers. Like what is, like, somebody who's listening who has no idea what a 5%er is? Can you describe that for us?
A 5%er is really somebody that teaches according to their degree of knowledge the reality of God, and advocates for freedom, justice, and equality, for those who don't have the relationship with God and that has been victimized by that lack of understanding, that lack of knowledge.
That's a good one.
That's just a short now.
Yeah. Nah.
It's more
absolutely.
intense, but
Yeah. Nah. Yo, let me ask you this, right? What's been like the most drastic change in your life since you've got out? Like, what's like a drastic change?
Drastic change is, and it's something. It's like a trauma for me when it comes up. But being able to like not have somebody tell me what I got to do, like not have somebody tell me that, all right, dinner is at this time,
right,
or you can go outside to the yard at that time. It's just having my freedom back,
right.
Like that's I don't know how to make it any more plain than that, but that doesn't really do it justice to have your freedom back. To like say that. So what I like to do and what I tend to do at times is, because especially black people who know their history, is we have a history that involves slavery,
right?
A real history that involves slavery, like where we was whipped and all that stuff. And I was in the modern day version of slavery.
Of slavery, yeah.
And so when I speak about getting my freedom back, think about how our ancestors felt being let out of that physical bondage.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing for me.
Folks, if you're listening right now, we got Mr. Sean Ellis live in the studio, 617-282-0685. If shout out to everybody that's listening to online. Sean is a great guest to have on. We need his story in the world right now. Shout out to my man L. He's watching. People are tuning in online. And big shout out to anybody that shared their story on the timeline too, man. I was so we really truly appreciate that. Right now we're gonna go into some of our sponsors. All right. So we have. So the first sponsor, all right, is Talk to 'em Apparel, all right, and their Instagram and handle is T2EM Apparel. We also have Green to Clean cleaning services, and that's at Green to Clean Ltd. That's their Instagram handle, all right. Also, we got the Whitening Bar. The Whitening Bar teeth whitening service. So if you want to get them pearly whites, get at the Whitening Bar. That's at THEWHITENINGBAR. And then also we got Community Capital Gains, and their Instagram handle is at CCGains2. All right. That's they help people, with their businesses, getting LLCs, all those good stuff. And also, if you're looking to promote your business, or if you have something going on, shoot us a DM. All right, we'll be able to. You could be one of our sponsors. All right. So back to my man Sean right here. What advice, bro? What advice would you give like little black boys? That's kind of like watching. That's going in. I have like a 9-year-old son. You know what I mean? Like, what advice would you like give them?
Advice in terms of general advice, in terms of dealing with the system.
Just in general, like, okay, let's say I was gonna say black. It's 2-part questions that I have, right? Like, what advice would you give black boys, and then what advice would you give to this generation, which includes like boys and girls? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do they maneuver around? How do they overcome certain things? How is it that they're able to, not give up? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what advice would I give to black boys is to protect the way that you see yourself and you allow yourself to be defined, because it is really important. I'm a person that had to dig my way out of having low self-esteem and really not having a whole lot of confidence.
Really? Coming up? Really?
You know what I mean? Because I had a very bad speech problem coming up.
Yeah.
And so, like...
Yo, that's crazy. I'm sorry, because I used to stutter myself when I was younger.
Oh, yeah.
And for whatever reason, right, because, I migrated here from Haiti, okay, right? And, it was not a good look being Haitian and then also stuttering as well, too. It's just not a good look. Right, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, but for whatever reason... I lost it, bro. You know what I'm saying? I think it might have been like something in my mind where I don't know what it was, but then as I started growing up, you know what I mean, I just totally lost it. You know what I mean? And like I have my aunt, she still stutters. You know what I'm saying?
My mom does too.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was like a hereditary thing. You know what I mean? But yeah, bro, I that is true. You know what I mean? Like there's a self-esteem thing about that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
That many might not be able to relate to it if they don't stutter.
Right.
But so there was things of that nature. I was in remedial classes.
Mm-hmm.
And that caused me to look at myself a certain way, and then there was things that said to me that caused me to feel a certain way. So I had to dig myself out of that.
Yeah.
In order to be able to fight this case.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like I learned then that the way that I see myself, which is in part the importance of my relationship with the 5%ers, because that helped me to look at myself a certain way. And then after the 5%ers, I started dealing with the nation of Islam and stuff. But it's the advice that I would give to young people is to protect the way that you see yourself. Don't allow yourself to be called the N-bomb.
Yeah.
Don't allow yourself to be called a dog.
Yeah.
Don't allow yourself to be identified as the lowest parts of like how we see ourselves.
Right. Yeah.
I'm saying it's we're kings, we're royalty, we're
Absolutely.
men.
Yes.
I'm saying we're young men.
Yeah.
And so in that, if we continue to hear that, that's what we're going to begin to represent. But if you call yourself a dog every single day, then that has a psychological effect on how you see yourself.
And that's why I said, bro, like, yo, your message to like our young boys, bro, because there's a lot. I used to be a school teacher, right? And I actually used to be a special ed teacher, right? And it's crazy that I hear you said that, because a lot of the times it was all African American boys that was in my classroom. It was probably like one white girl that was in there, you know what I mean? And she was a little off there, you know what I'm saying? And I remember, like, because I used to be, kids used to have to come to the classroom, and then they used to be, all the kids used to wait, you know what I mean? Like, wait until everybody leaves the hallways, right? And then sneak in. Right. You know what I mean? And I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it, because everybody know, okay, that's the slow class over there. You know what I mean? And really, in reality, right, when you really get to know some of these students, some of these dudes is bright. Like, I mean, it's like ridiculously bright, where it's like, I remember this one kid, right? This one kid, he could freestyle just off. He's looking at you, what you got on, and he's busting a freestyle, right? And he just flowed with it. And then there was another kid, right, who could remember like certain like stats from like back in the 60s. You know what I mean? Like certain. And then there was this other kid that was he was crazy, like drawing wise. You know what I mean? And I felt like, at that time, man, I didn't really have the knowledge that I did. But as I started getting knowledgeable, I was just like, why is all these kids like in these classes, bro? Right. You know what I'm saying? Like some of them, and it was more like behavioral, you know what I'm saying? But I was just like, most of these kids are just mad chill, you know what I mean? But once again, the system got us thinking like, okay, you can't sit down, you know what I mean, and pay attention. You gotta have to be in this class right here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to be in here. And that's why I said, bro, like your message and just the way you can communicate with some of these young kids, because a lot of kids is going through that, bro. A lot of kids is just self-esteem problems, just because they feel like I don't even know, and then that carries on with them till their adulthood. You know what I mean? And even now as an adult, like I always used to like implement like, you guys are geniuses, man. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You guys are geniuses.
Positive reinforcement.
Absolutely, because they needed that. You know what I mean? And I never, because I used to always let them be late a little bit, because I understand. You know what I mean? Like, there's girls around, and at that time that's high school, so you don't want to, you know what I mean? But then as I started telling them, like, one time I was just like, doesn't really matter what people, thinking about you. You know what I'm saying? So as the years started going on, they just started like, yo, they just started coming to the class.
Being comfortable.
They was just comfortable, just like, yo, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm in Mr. L's class, so what? You know what I mean?
Right. I'm still great.
I'm still cool.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's why I say, man, like your story, just the way, certain things that you've gone through, overcome, bro. Like, yo, the world needs to hear that. You know what I'm saying? It needs to hear that from a black man. It needs to hear that, like, yo, I went through all these things. You know what I'm saying? I went through all these things, man, and you can overcome them as well.
You can overcome, because even though I was in those remedial classes, and they wanted, they wanted my mom to believe that, that the work was hard.
Right.
Right. The work wasn't hard. I just had a problem articulating the work.
Right.
Or my need for help
right.
in the work.
Right.
And then my stutter was called a pronounced stutter. And so, I might have need some help learning how to pronounce words, so I didn't stutter.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I could do the work at I want to say maybe in junior high school, if not like the 5th grade, but I was a MECO student. And the school systems in the suburbs are definitely different from the school systems in Boston, right? But my point is that as a young student, right, I was able to like communicate with the programs. One of my one of my memories of school was just using the zeros and the one to create a program for the computer, and then see the computer's response to it as a game. You know what I mean?
Yo, so you was coding back then, bro.
Right.
Yo, let me ask you a question. Did you have any black teachers, like black male teachers coming up?
Nah.
See?
Nah.
Like,
I didn't have my first black teacher that I remember, because I used to go to school in Needham.
Yeah.
My first black teacher was when I transferred from the Needham public school systems to Boston public school systems, and I want to say the first black teacher and teacher that I remember the most was a teacher named Mr. Durant. If I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Sean, you know what time it is. Trivia time. Okay? Trivia time. Okay? And no helping him. All right? No helping him. Sean.
Put a phone up there.
Name the last 5 presidents.
Barack Obama.
Obama's one of them.
Barack Obama. Yeah, I'm not even going to acknowledge 45.
Okay, 45 is one of them.
Yeah,
okay.
But Barack Obama.
Got 3 more.
Bush.
That's the wall.
Yeah, we can't. I can't forget Bush because of the whole Iraq thing.
Right.
You know that's how we got caught up in that quagmire. But who else? There's
one last one.
Bush Senior, Bush Junior.
Yep.
So them are 2 different ones.
Yep.
And
got one last one.
And Reagan.
That's the wall.
What happened?
That's the wall.
I don't see nothing.
That's the wall. That's the wall. You can't help him, man.
Oh yeah. Who's about Clinton?
Man, Bill Clinton. Ding, 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 ding. All right, one more trivia. All right. One more trivia.
I got this one here.
All right. Okay. What was Muhammad Ali's former name?
Do another one. That's my brother Clash. Nation.
Okay. All right. I got one. This is going to be a good one. Who was the first black coach for the Boston Celtics? Oh.
Bill Russell.
No, she was telling you something. All right, she was telling you something. Okay.
Nah. And you're showing my age too, man.
So let me ask you this, Sean. Right? Let me ask you this. Can you describe the environment in prison? What's that environment like?
Man, I remember when I first walked into Walpole. I got, they brought me to Walpole in a van, not a regular van, but like a prison van. And I remember going in, going past the big heavy doors and hearing the doors shut. I remember looking up and there was guards in the tower, I want to say with guns. And then I remember when I went inside, and it's kind of like, man, there's like an immediate attack on your spirit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Is the first thing that they do when you get in there, strip search you.
Yeah.
Dehumanizing,
Yep.
demoralizing, and attack on your spirit from the minute you walk in there. And then Walpole at that time, there was a tension. That's the word I was looking for. There was a tension in the atmosphere.
Really?
Just off the strength of you being in the state's maximum prison at that time.
Right.
And just the racial tension that existed, the tension that existed between the prisoners and the guards.
Yeah.
Like it was.
You just felt that when you walk in.
You can literally feel it.
Sheesh.
You can literally feel it, and if you're not sure of yourself,
Yeah.
it will cause you to shrink. It will cause you to shrink because it's that thick.
Yeah. Listen, young men, if you're listening to this, all right, you just got just a quick preview of what it is. So if you're doing something dumb that you shouldn't be doing, I suggest you drop it like a bad habit.
Like a bad habit.
For real. I suggest you drop it like a bad habit. If you're in the streets, go back home. Okay, go back home, because a lot of people's not built for that. You know what I mean? A lot of people's not built for that, including myself. I'm not built for that. You know what I mean?
And I ain't built for it.
Yo, you're not. You know what I mean? That's why I said you had a covering on your life, bro.
No, definitely.
You know what I mean? You had an absolute covering on your life. Let me ask you this, right? Anybody ever try you in prison?
I remember when I first got a state, naive. I started out naive through this whole process. And I was fortunate enough to have, like people in my life that, had the ability to help me to maintain and sustain myself financially while I was in there. And so I was able to make canteen, but everybody in prison is not able to make canteen. And so I went to canteen.
So hold on, so let's say when you say canteen, right? So that means like somebody's to put like money on their books.
Money on my books.
Okay.
So that I can go to the store.
Okay.
But the way you go to the store in there is you gotta fill out what you want.
Yep.
At the time, then you could bring that down to the canteen people. Then they would fill your order, and that was different. You gotta bubble it in like a test. But I ordered some stuff from the store, and there was a brother that had been around a while, and he had asked me if I had any cookies.
Like cookies?
Yeah, just regular cookies. So I want some cookies here. Like I'm thinking some cookies ain't nothing. Like brother hungry, I'm gonna give him something to eat.
Right.
And then the next week came, and he asked me for some more cookies. So naive.
Gave him some cookies.
I'm like, yeah, you want some cookies, man? Here. Then the third week came, asked me for some more cookies. I was like, nah. Like nah, I don't got no cookies for you, man.
Yeah.
I'm saying because whatever was gonna be, it was gonna be. But
Right.
I'm not gonna this right here, what I thought I was seeing developing and happening.
Right.
Wasn't gonna allow it to happen.
Yeah.
I'm saying because once you allow that to happen, then any and everything else could happen, and that's not an environment.
Yo, you know why I asked that, right? I remember like a friend of mine's, it was like my big bro, you know what I mean? He was in New York, and he had came home from Rikers, and I remember he was telling me this story. We were sitting on a stoop, and he had maybe like came back like maybe like a month or so, you know what I mean? And he was telling us this story, and he was just like, yo, there's a certain mentality that you gotta have when you go in there. You know what I'm saying? And because he's like, yo, and this was like one of the chillest dudes ever, bro. And I remember he was just like, yo, you gotta be ready to set it off. You know what I mean? And it's an energy that you don't know that you have in you until you're put in that situation?
There's like, I've seen situations happen where I've seen two people who really don't want to have a conflict with each other.
Yeah.
Be forced to have a conflict with each other, right? Because the environment dictated that, all right, one person couldn't let this happen. And because one person couldn't let this happen, then he, he had to do what he had to do. He had to do what he had to do.
Right.
And so that's an environment, bro, that man, you have very, very little control. I'm saying, and for some people, how they respond to that environment just came naturally.
Right.
I'm saying, just because of their makeup,
right,
like what they've been through earlier years, that prepared them for that.
Yeah.
But if there ain't no preparation, then your preparation is going to come in the midst of the fire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that environment is an environment, man, that can and will change you. If you don't have the wherewithal to be in the environment but not of the environment.
Say that again. To be in the environment.
In the environment but not of the environment.
Oh,
meaning meaning that you're in there. Yeah. Right? You know that you can't go home. You do in there. You but you don't become what the environment intends to make you.
I got you.
Saying, so it's being in the environment but not of the environment.
What's the craziest thing you seen in there, bro?
Somebody killed.
Really?
Yeah.
Like let's bang.
Yeah, just as a matter of fact, we all went to work in the plate shop at Walpole. And this was, I think, work call was 8:30 in the morning. So this happened between probably like 8 and 9 o'clock. Two individuals had a dispute the night before. They woke up the next morning, came to work, and then one had a 2x4, came up and gave the other one the business.
Wow.
It's unfortunate because there's a loss of life there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But everyone's staring around looking at it. CEO staring around looking at it, not breaking it up, not doing nothing. But he was giving a person a direct order to stop. But who's going to stop in the midst of that? Like, man, he beating the dude down with a 2x4.
Wow.
And the CEO stood there and waited for him to stop doing what he was doing. And that was it.
Wow. All right, folks. Once again, if you're listening, 617-282-0685. We got Mr. Sean Ellis. And now this is the part of our show called What in the Wakanda Was You Thinking? All right. Now, I don't know if anybody heard this story on the news. The veteran police officer who fatally shot Dante Wright, a 20-year-old black man in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, may have accidentally grabbed her gun instead of her stun gun before the shooting, an assertion offered by the police chief. In body camera footage of the incident, the officer, Kim Potter, can be heard yelling, "Taser! Taser!" repeatedly before she shoots Wright. After firing her handgun, she yells, "Holy shiznai!" You know what I mean. "I just shot him." It's my belief that the police officer had the intention to deploy their taser, but instead shot Mr. Wright with a single bullet. Former Chief Tim Gannon, who has since resigned, said Monday in a press conference, he said Potter had been taught to warn others when deploying a taser and that the distress she expressed following the incident shows that it was an accidental discharge. What in the Wakanda was you thinking? A taser and a gun. Two different things. As a police officer, you're not afforded to make that mistake. You know what I mean? We could make a mistake if you're like an electrician or even an electrician or a plumber. But as a police officer, you know, you have life and death in your hands. Life and death in your hands. And you shot this young man, young black man to death. What in the Wakanda was you thinking? And it's not the only one. There's been a whole bunch of shooting that's been happening. against black men. What in the Wakanda was you thinking? Folks should be ashamed of themselves. You know? Folks should really be ashamed of themselves. Once again, folks, we got Mr. Sean Ellis in live here in the studio. Shout out to everybody that's listening right now, that's tuning in. Sean, let me ask you this, bro. What we don't have that much time remaining. What brings you peace?
Being near the water. Like late night walks or early morning walks.
Yeah.
That's really when I'm able to kind of get into my head and kind of slow things down and like breathe a little bit. Even though I'm home and have been home, going on 6 years, I'm still going through an internal process where I'm trying to heal. As I said before, from the inside out, and so I know, like, when I notice myself like uptight, like I like to go outside, just get some fresh air, just take walks or be near the water. But that definitely is something that brings me peace.
That brings you peace. What's the first meal that you had, bro? Once you got out, do you remember that?
Some seafood from a place on the North Shore named Sullivan's.
I know Sullivan's, bro. That's the spot.
That's the spot.
That's the spot. Sullivan's, yo. They got some bomb seafood over there.
Seafood, yeah.
Oh man.
As a matter of fact, I got to visit Sullivan's.
We definitely got to hit up Sullivan's. Yeah. You know what time it is, folks? It's trivia time with Sean. Okay, it's trivia time. Now, Pastor Wall, you can't help him. And
that's my brother.
No. Okay. Name 3 fried chicken stores in Boston. Oh.
Current fried chicken or ones that just a period? Because I might name something that you might not even.
All right, just put me on. Okay, put me on. Go ahead.
What about Church's Chicken? True or false?
That is true. Church's Chicken.
Okay.
We'll give him that one. Church's Chicken.
Yeah, Church's Chicken was good.
Okay. Popeyes.
I don't want to go with the New York chicken, so I go with KFC.
Ring ding 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 ding. Ring ding 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 ding. All right. Name 3 rappers with the name Sean. I know you can't. You don't know about that rapper stuff, Pastor Wall. Okay.
So Sean Combs.
Okay, Sean Combs, definitely one of them.
What's the other dude?
Oh no, you can't help.
Big Sean.
Big Sean. Okay, we'll take Big Sean. Big Sean.
Is he a little Sean? No, sir. Sean Kingston.
Sean Kingston. Ring ding 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 ding.
Okay.
Ring ding. Wow. I didn't even think about Sean Kingston. That Sean Kingston. So let me ask you this, right? We're in the year 2021. Like, what are 3 goals, right? 3 goals that you would like to accomplish in 2021.
So, one of the things that are still going on is I still have a charge on my record that wasn't there prior to being arrested in during this injustice. And so one of my biggest goals in 2021 is to get that conviction off of my record because it shouldn't be there. And right now we're waiting on a court date from the Superior Court so that we can have a hearing where the judge is going to give his decision on the motion for new trial that I filed on the firearm charges, which was assented to by our current district attorney, meaning that we filed a motion for new trial based on all of the corruption that existed in the case and the fact that a innocent did not receive a fair trial and that justice wasn't done. And our current district attorney, for the first time in over 28 years,
District
Attorney Rollins, yes, came out and spoke out against the injustice that befell me at the hands of members of the Boston Police Department and members of the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office of that time.
Yeah.
You know, so that's one of my goals. I also want to start. We spoke about, you know, my participation in remedial classes, and this is another part. Since being home, I've taken some classes at Boston at UMass Boston.
Okay.
And I'm currently in a fellows program with Tufts University. But I definitely want to start start working towards getting my degree. So that's another goal.
One more.
You know, the third one is kind of you spoke about me being a unifier, and part of what I believe my purpose is fighting against injustice, no matter what it looks like. That's the only way that I can reconcile all the things that I've experienced. I've experienced a lot of injustice, not just at the hands of the DA's office and in the Boston Police Department, but even before that. So I believe that my purpose is to fight against injustice, right? And I know that I can't do it by myself.
You can't, bro.
So that goes into what you were speaking to earlier about being a unifier,
Right.
Because I come from this position. It don't matter if you like me or not.
Right.
It don't matter if I like you or not,
Right.
right? But if our work aligns,
Right.
and our work is for the benefit of the people,
Absolutely.
and that's what we say, that we about the people,
Right.
then there's nothing that should prevent us from really coming together and doing that work, as long as we morally and fundamentally can align ourselves.
You need some soldiers in that field with you, bro, and I'm here with you. You know what I'm saying?
You.
I'm here with you, whatever it is that you need. You know what I mean? I'll go out there with you, bro. You know what I'm saying? Yo, how much people? Let me ask you this, bro. Like, how much people do you think has been wrongfully charged, bro? Like, how much people do you think is like? Because there was another dude, right? I think his name is Diamond Darrell Reeves. That was
Jones.
Jones, right? That was wrongfully charged as well. I think during the trial 4, I saw his pic. He was on there for a little bit just speaking, and actually met him too. And then there was another gentleman, I think he was like a Spanish guy. He was on the trial 4 as well too. Victor, yeah. Like how often do these things happen, bro?
They happen more often than people care to acknowledge. I'm trying to think of the numbers. Black people make up, I think, 12% of the population in New England.
Yeah.
Right? But we make up 8.1% of those who have been wrongfully convicted. Meaning that 8.1 is those who are home, those who the court have already adjudicated and said, no, you were wrongfully convicted, you're innocent, you did not commit the crime which you were charged of. How many on the inside?
Yeah.
There are some statistics around that,
Yeah.
which I don't recall right now off the top of my head. But what I can speak to is this: that, you know, particularly from the time, let's say, of Charles Stewart, all the way to the mid 90s, there was a culture of cover-up within the Boston Police Department. There is a detective by the name of Daniel Keeler, who was once known as Mr. Homicide, and he himself has put countless numbers of individuals in prison.
Yeah.
But there's a whole file. We have a whole file on all of his wrongdoings, the wrongdoing that he's done on other cases.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate reality is that all the cases that he's worked on has not been gone back and reviewed or revisited to make sure that there is nothing questionable in there. I recall when Detective Sarah Robertson in Brazil, that's in trial for.
Yep.
I recall when they got arrested, that I was hopeful that their arrest would trigger a review. And that review didn't happen. Not only did that review not happen, members of law enforcement continued the concealment of the information that they knew could have and would have freed me.
Wow, bro. And this is why I said, man, like, yo, like, you have this incredible covering on your life, because, you could have been the ones that got overlooked. You know what I'm saying? But is your mom's a praying warrior?
Absolutely.
Yo, your mom's is a praying warrior.
She's a prayer warrior, and had prayer warriors with her.
For real.
As a matter of fact, some of two of the institutions that was, the nation was real instrumental in terms of supporting my family and securing my family as this was going on. But my mom's church also was instrumental in helping to raise money and contribute money, especially by my pastor, Pastor Jones, to help bail me out of prison.
Wow.
And I actually was living with the youth pastor of my mom's church when I came home.
Wow. Folks, we have less than a minute remaining. Sean, we got some gifts for you, sir. All right. The good folks over at Talk to Him Apparel wanted to present you with some good apparel. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then also big shout out to Angie. Angie was the one who, kept reaching out to your peoples to make this happen, man. So big shout out to Angie. She wanted to be here, but unfortunately she couldn't. But she was the one who made this happen. I reached out at first, but then I was just like, man, he ain't gonna get back to us, man. But yo, she kept going. So big shout out to Angie, man. Is there any last words that you want to say to the people?
Just want to say thank you to Talk to Him Apparel. Real dope. But continue to push forward and fight against the injustice. Know that we all may be wounded, but we're not broken. And you're only broken when you stop fighting.
Exactly. Listen, folks, if you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you are living in the